Hello, Wii players, and all those who happen to watch. Now, this is a video response for a person who, of course, I'm not, gonna take the piss out of the guy. The guy who's the right to his opinion about the video I made, which is fine. I like that when people share their opinions about the games. Now, of course, though, it seemed like more of the lines of them more questionable towards my selections rather than just saying it. Because, he wasn't really sure in his answer when he addressed it to me. But, in any case, I'm going to reply to it to, of course, give it better light to understand. Now, what can I say about the titles? Well, simple really, the selections I picked. They were reflected off of, well, various games I looked at for variety rather than just simple organic RPG elements. Now, though I did pick Breath of Fire 2 from the selection for a simple reason. It was actually a sequel for an RPG game that was actually very, very good compared to its original game. It actually added flavor to the original game. Now, of course, though, people might not agree. They might like the first one better. But, of course, though, it's always based on opinion. Like mine's with the top 5 that were selected for the titles. Now, a lot of people don't like it because of the titles I picked. They wanted to see the typical Zelda 3 and all that crap. The typical, games, basically, that everyone thinks that are good. And they don't barely try anything else because they always think this one has to be the best. Necessarily, yes. Zelda 3 is good, but it's not the most best game I ever played in my freaking life. I could play the game with saying it was okay. I can't say it was amazing. Now, I could say it's good for the principle that it is good, because I'm always honest about how good a game is. But if it isn't the best I've ever seen, I'm going to be blunt and honest about it. So, the reasons I picked ActRaiser. Now, of course, though, people probably say that the game was not an RPG. Well, of course, though, if you look at, other games like Metroid, people say that game isn't an RPG when it clearly is, even though, the creators say it isn't. You collect artifacts, which are items that enhance you, just like in Zelda 2. You did the same thing, just like with the Battle of Olympus, same thing. I can go on. Same element. It isn't included, but it is a basic RPG element. You collect artifacts to enhance yourself, just like in the Castlevania Symphony of the Night series, and also the GBA and the DS games. Same element. Now, people fail to consider that an RPG. That's fine, but this is my opinion. And my opinion is over theirs in my library. I might consider other people's opinions when, of course, they can show me I'm wrong. But it's really stacked up to the point that if you say that Castlevania Symphony of the Nights are not an RPG, when of course you can't unequip the artifacts you can get from Super Metroid, then try to prove me wrong otherwise. But other than that, it was an RPG, a sci-fi RPG. Just like saying Fallout was not an RPG, saying it was an action game, when it was clear as day as a freaking RPG. It's like saying Diablo 1 was just a hack and slash action game when it was an RPG. I could say RPG all day, but it's really simple. Not that complex. People expected, something typical when it shouldn't be that typical. You expect someone's selection to be unique. You can't expect the same favorite games every 5 videos. That's why I picked different games. Like ActRaiser, for instance. I picked that for a simple reason. And I picked Utopia because it was a smashingly good RPG, and it also was a great Zelda clone substitute. That's why I didn't pick Zelda. I picked something that was second best, if not great. Utopia was great, you know, it offered good elements. You know, a lot of people don't consider it to be good, but you know what? You have to sit down and actually play it to give it the proper consideration before, you know, say, oh, it looks okay, but I don't know. You know, you gotta play the entire game, look it up, and make sure you know what you're saying about the game. ActRaiser. It's an action game, yes, but it also handles like a simulator as well. It has two worlds into one. With the footage of the game, though, I didn't show the RPG elements, but they're there. You can level up your character's HP to make them basically jacked. But, you know, that's for another tale. And you can see the footage from my other clips that provided. And then after that, after the footage, I showed Breath of Fire 2. It's obviously the standard great RPG. Straightforward, it's right there. The graphics, I suppose people really complain or really want that, they're there anyway. But the gameplay above all else in all these games are good. That's why I also picked them. You know, not just choppy, great graphics, but shitty gameplay type of things. You know, everyone says it's great. Most people like these games because the graphics are great. It's like, why? You know, if you like Final Fantasy VII, like Final Fantasy VII. Who gives a damn was the first 3D Final Fantasy VII game? I don't give a shit of what it was. You know, I mean, all due respect, it honestly, I don't know. Sometimes. But, you know, Shisa Warrior, you know, he was just speaking his opinion about it. But, I mean, everything else, he was just basically really specifying two games above all of them else. Because he agreed, yeah, the rest of them are okay. But, you know, it's his opinion as well. So, yeah, Shining in the Darkness, you know how that is if you ever played it. So I don't really need to talk about that game very much. You also know about Shining Force as well. Don't really need to talk about that either. Tactical game, blah blah blah. The last game added Dragon's Eye, you know, Draken 2, or Draken 2. You know, that was something very different from what I saw from an RPG meets action gameplay. That's why I picked that as well for a strong suggestion to get it brought to the Wii Virtual Console, because I want people to actually play this game. You know, to try it at least, give it a chance. Which, of course, is why I selected a lot of these games as well, for people to give the games a chance. You know, to play them. They get to see it. It may look shit at first, but you know what? That's the same thing like food. You know, you gotta try. You don't know the food's good unless you really eat it. You know, that's why food's created, to consume it. You look at it, it may look like shit, but you know what? Clam chowder looks like shit, and some people love it, even though they say it looks like shit. But, you know, I'm not trying to shit down the guy's throat about this all. It's just I'm pointing out that the reasons why I selected the top 5 games for the list. So, you know, I mean, anyone else has any questions or comments about it, I'm more than willing to share about it. But, you know, I basically covered up the camera like this for a simple reason. It's because I'm topless. A lot of people feel uncomfortable with it, so you know what? It's like, that's why I'm topless. So, that's basically it, folks, you know. It's really just a simple fact of placing a green piece of cloth that can microfabrically clean things, but, you know, that's reasons why I picked the games, you know. I mean, it wasn't a group decision. It was more of what I felt was the top 5 games in my vocabulary for RPGs. So basically you can give or take. If you want to try them, see if, you know, maybe your eyes are deceiving you. You know, maybe because it's the same thing like DDR. Some people play DDR, some people hate it like myself. But you know what? Other people love it. It's entertaining to sit back and watch people act like idiots jumping around. So it's either way, everyone wins, because it's just you talk shit about it. It's like those people are idiots, you know. But you have fun calling them idiots, right? So it's really a win-win situation here. So challenge is basically go back, watch the video, and try those games out somehow, and tell me what you think. That's all. Take it easy, folks.